test driving this Audi R8. Oh my gosh, this thing is nuts. I mean, this thing is so freaking quick, and the sounds that it gives you are just insane. Just remarkable. I had it in sport mode. I just nailed it as hard as I could. Oh, that was so great. Now, in terms of the ride quality, so far it's a sports car. It's stiff, but the seats are somewhat comfortable. I think just because of the cabin space itself, it's definitely a tight squeeze. But I mean, just to drive this every day, I wouldn't complain at all. Other than my back hurt and all that, it just, gosh, sounds so good. Now with the dual clutch, or I should say the automated manual transmission, you do have that feeling of a true stick without necessarily having to worry about pushing the clutch in and all of that. It pretty much does everything for you, but it gives you the simulated feel of a true manual, and that just makes this that much more fun to drive. And then just being able to, you know, just flop shift out of nowhere, and then you actually feel like you're driving a stick, even though you're just tapping this little shifter here. And then on top of that, having the paddles, you can just choose how you want to drive, and that's what makes this so much fun. But I mean, just the scream you get from the engine bay and the exhaust, it's just so much fun to drive this thing. I mean, it's just everywhere in the tachometer. It doesn't matter where you are, you can just kick this thing in a high gear and it starts pulling. No matter what gear, no matter how high the revs are, it's ready to go. Just an impressive machine. And again, for this to be a 2010 and to be this much fun to drive, I'm just super impressed by this car overall. I'm going to try and open her up here in a second. Just so quick. And the backfire from the exhaust, just everything about this is just super fun. Now I will say, a lot of it has to do with just my overall size, but visibility in such a low slung car can be difficult just because there's really not a lot of places to move your head. But I mean, it's pretty easy to just put your foot down and be off to the races. And there's a lot to say about this R8, but I'm just in such awe right now behind the wheel of it. I'm just kind of enjoying it, and hopefully you all are just enjoying the sounds that come from this beast. But my gosh, it's just so much fun to drive. I mean, this thing is it's so quick. It's insane. And I mean, that's what you get when you put a V10 naturally aspirated engine with a 6-speed automated manual transmission like this. Just, gosh, this is fun. I'm gonna try out the cruise control. I'm gonna put it in automatic mode. Just cruising here, I I actually really like the drone that's coming from behind me, from the exhaust, the engine, all that. Just a nice strong hum. And honestly, the ride is a bit choppy, but not at all as uncomfortable as a Lamborghini or something like that. So kudos to Audi for still making this feel like somewhat of a luxury sports car. But the sounds you get from this are like no other. Just so much fun to drive this car. Now this R8 is priced, I believe, around the mid-90s, so definitely not the cheapest one you could get, but miles are decent, especially for a 2010. Looks great. This has been kept in pristine condition. Just a very impressive specimen in terms of the R8s. And I mean, I just have a new love for these cars. I've always liked them, but I've never actually been behind the wheel of one. And now that I can say I've driven one, specifically the V10, it really is a treat getting behind the wheel of this thing. It's just so much fun. It sounds so good. And it has the menacing looks to go along with it as well. And it's funny how fast this thing moves with little effort, while I know the vehicle in front of me was flooring it. It's just, again, this is so much fun. You have so much power at your fingertips. It's so quick. But I want to give a big shout out to Auto Collection of Murfreesboro again. They just have a super cool inventory all the time. And this has been, again, a treat to be behind the wheel of this car. And with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2010 Audi R8 V10.